Alright, so I have a high compression piston here. This is a JE piston, so let's look at it. JE piston for CB300R but I'm putting it into a you know, it says 286, that means I'm putting it into a 300 engine, right? So this piston here, forged piston, compression ratio, I believe is, shoot, what was it? It was it 11 or so? I forget exactly what it was. But anyways, since this is a 250 piston, putting it into a 300 sleeve, because this 300 has a higher stroke or a longer stroke, that it will actually increase the compression ratio. So this compression ratio is going to be over 12 to 1. I think it's going to be close. Yeah, it's probably about 12 to 1, maybe even 12 and a half at the most. I did the calculations a long time ago, but I don't remember off the top of my head what it was. But it's, you know, it should be no more than 12 and a half, and it should work fine because it's because the ignition timing on this is not, you know, it's not that advanced on this bike, on this, you know, CB300R. So I have a bunch of pistons here. Here's my these two are my oil rings, and this is the center oil ring. This right here is the second oil ring, second compression ring, and this is the top compression ring. So I already tested the gap. I put it in the sleeve here, and I tested the gap. And actually, I put it in the top, you know, bottom, middle, and top of the sleeve, and it was consistent throughout the whole sleeve. You know, those 3 points. So I don't have to worry about it. So what it was this one was a little bit tighter than this one. This one was I think this one was tighter. This one was 12 thousandths of gap on the oil ring. This one was 14,000. And you want oil ring gap, you want to be at least 10,000. So they're both fine. The top ring, the gap needs to be bigger than the bottom ring. So the bottom ring gap, the compression ring, the bottom gap needs to be bigger than the top ring. So this one is actually the outside edge, you know, because this gap, ideally you want the gap when it comes together, you want to be parallel, but they're not. Both of these are not parallel. They're actually kind of like this. So the outside is actually smaller. The outside on this is 12, and the inside here, you know, the 12 edge to edge, the corner to corner is 12 thousandths. The inside here is 16 thousandths, and this one is outside edge is 14, and inside was, I think, 17. So at least they're both consistent. Okay, and that's good right there. I already have a bunch of, you know, you see it's all dirty here. I already have a bunch of engine assembly lube in here already, so I'm good there. So I'm just gonna start putting my rings in. So the bigger valve, that's the intake. The smaller valve is the exhaust, right? You want the rings to be basically 120 degrees of each other. So let's say, for example, the top ring, I'm gonna line it up, the gap, with the middle of the exhaust here, right? And the second ring here, I'm probably gonna line it up, you know, like that, 120 degrees this way. And these ones, I'm gonna line it up this right here. So what I'm gonna do is this one right here, the center one, is gonna sit, you know, 120 degrees. But these two, the two oil, the two sandwiches, they don't center with the gap of this ring here. Let's see what the gap is. This gap right here and this gap do not line up, right? They have to be offset from each other. So one side's gonna be like this. So let's say the top side's like that, and the bottom side's gonna be like this. So they have to be about 10 millimeters or so apart from each other. Okay. All right, so let's do this. I am actually gonna put the bottom ring on first. The bottom compression ring. So the bottom compression ring actually has a label here. It says N, so the label always points up. Okay, so I'm gonna have the compression top one this way, so that means the bottom compression is over here. So it's gonna be like that. Now, ideally you would have a little ring spreader, but I don't have one, so I'm just gonna spread it with my thumbs. I'm just gonna dig into my thumb, so it's gonna be a little bit painful, which is fine, no big deal. It's not that, you know, it's not that bad. Oops, that actually popped into the second or the first groove. So let's go this here. right there. Okay. First groove. Move this one here to the first groove as well. Okay, so I got it into the first groove there. Actually, let's let me take a Sharpie. Take a Sharpie and mark it. So this is gonna be my exhaust ring, or this is my top ring right here. So that's gonna be top. 120 from that is about right here. All right, 120 from that is about right here. It's gonna be the bottom. And right here is gonna be the oil. So T for top, B for bottom, O for oil. And from the oil, I'm gonna be about 10 millimeters or so away on each side there. So like that. Okay, so this one is pretty much about right there. I'm gonna leave it there. Right, bottom. So top ring, normally sometimes it's labeled too. If it's labeled, that means it's always, when there's a label, it's always pointing up. This one's not labeled, neither side. If it's not labeled either side, what you have to do is you have to actually feel for the inside, if you have a chamfer or a bevel, the side that has the bevel should be facing up, if I can remember right. Yeah, the side with the bevel should be facing up. But this top ring here, it does not. I don't feel a bevel. It's like they both feel the same to me. So I think they are the same. So I'm just gonna put them in. Doesn't matter which way. Just gonna put it in like so. This side here. Again, ideally, I would like to have a ring gap tool, but I don't have that, so I don't have that luxury. So my rings already have a little bit of a break-in of the break-in lube already, so I don't have to worry too much about it. Having that in here. So I'm gonna line up my gap as best I can. Okay. So now for here, so the oil ring. There's a certain way that you put the oil ring down. So the oil ring here, where it comes together, it's like an accordion shape, right? A corrugated shape, and where it ends here, it ends like that. So the two ends come together. You don't overlap it like so. The two ends come together like this. And when it comes together, the way that it points, it should be pointing, I think up on the piston. So I see the two ends pointing up at me. Since the piston is facing down, and I'm gonna have it face like down like that. That should be the right way, I think. Alright, so let's see where's the oil. The oil is right here, so I'm gonna be like this right here. Oil ring like so. So that's in. Oops, where's that gap? Okay, I see it. It's right there. So you're supposed to put that in first. Then from there you can put the two oil rings in. Shoot, I don't remember which one's which now. What the fuck? I think this was the tighter one. This was the bigger gap. So I'm gonna put the bigger gap. Up here and the smaller gap on the bottom. Does it matter? Let's see. Yeah, I don't think it really matters. Since the top piston ring needs to be tighter than the bottom one, the bottom needs to be looser on the piston, the compression ring, the oil. I assume to be the opposite. Or it should be just like that too, so meaning down here should be tighter and up here should be looser, I guess. So this one was the tighter one, this is the looser one, so I'm gonna put this one in. And these ones don't have anything that tells you which side is which, and I don't think I'm looking at them and I don't see a camphor. So here's my oil mark right here. So I'm gonna go like this and go like so. I don't like this because this ring is smaller, more fragile, it's thinner, it's more fragile. So I actually have to bring this over the oil rail, the corrugated one, and the one that looks like a cardboard box. Okay, so that one's in. Where the hell's my oil split at? I'm sure I can't see my oil split. That's all right. Put this side in. Okay, so you can see my bottom ring split right here. Move it over that way. See my top ring split over here. Yeah, it's pretty lined up. So my two oil rings, top and bottom ring, oil ring is pretty much lined up. But I don't know if my corrugated part is lined up or not. Like, oh, there it is. I can see it there. Earlier I couldn't tell. See if I have something pointy so I could move it over. It's slightly off. So move it over just a little bit. Right there. So that's good. This one needs to move over a little bit. That one's good. Okay. Bottom ring, that's centered. Top ring, that is not centered. Okay, that's pretty centered right there. Okay, so I'm good. So now I could slide this through. So this is where my chain tensioner is. So that means this is facing the back of the bike, the back wheel. And that means this is the front. So the front is where the exhaust side is. So this is the exhaust side. So I'm gonna basically flip it around like this. I'm gonna put it in like so. Actually, what I want to do is I actually want to put a Circlip on this side where the chain side is. I'm gonna put the Circlip on this side, so that way later on, and I put a piston in, so later on when I put this on the engine, I don't have to fiddle around with this, you know, while I'm holding the piston, preventing the crank from slipping down, and while I'm trying to put this on, it's just too much work. When you do that, the rings will move, so that's why I like to do this. I like to pre-assemble this thing in place. So I need to put the one Circlip on this side, and I'm gonna leave this side open so I can put it in. The reason why I put the Circlip on this side is because I don't want to mess with the Circlip on this side, because if like it pops off or whatever, the space right here where the timing chain is, it could fall into that space, right into the engine case, right into where the transmission is, the crank is. So that's why I don't want to do it that side. I want to do it on this side where there's nothing. All right, that makes sense. So let me put the Circlip in, and I could slip this in. So it's, let me find a Circlip. I need to find what that is. Okay, so here's my Circlip right here. It's actually right here with my wrist pin. So this no wait, it's not in here. What the hell? It's not in here. God damn it. So this is the wrist pin that comes with this piston. Oh, here it is. It's right here. It's on the top of the box right here. So I need a knife to cut that open. Here's my knife. Where's my blade at? There's a knife right here. Okay, got my little knife. I can feel the piston right in there. No, not the piston, I mean the Circlip. So there's one right there. And the other one's still in there, so I'm gonna leave the other one in there. So if you look at the piston here, and you see this little opening gap right there, you do not want the gap with the Circlip to be, or the ends of the Circlip to be anywhere by that. You have to have it somewhere else. So I'm probably gonna aim it something like this or so. Maybe I should have done this in the beginning. Let me actually put some engine lube on here as well, so that way it slips in easily. Always put some little lube in there so it slips in easy. Okay, so hopefully I could stick this in here without too much drama. I never have very good luck sticking this thing in, or at least not easily anyways. I don't necessarily have the tool for this either. You always do this by hand. Busted my fingernails. And my fingernails are really long right now too, so I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So I have one side in, so I'm just gonna slowly work the other side. All the way around. Okay, almost in there. Almost all the way in. Okay, it's in. Alright, so the little open space over here is away from the opening. Actually, the opening gap between the two is actually over here, so that's good. That's perfect. That's what I want. Alright, let's actually double check the oil rings again. When I was doing that, it might have slipped. So this one moves a little bit, just a tiny bit off center. This one moves a little bit. So I have that break-in grease in here, so it shouldn't have moved too much. Okay, so everything's good. Alright, so back to the piston here. So this is the exhaust end, so that means this has to go like that. So that's why I have to ring the Circlip on the chain side here. Alright, so to do this, I'm basically just gonna squeeze this here together like so. The good thing, and I always go from the bottom because the bottom has this taper right here, so it's like a funnel. Whereas the top is just, it's a very square edge. It has a little bit of a bevel chamfer here, but that's not gonna be as effective as this is right here. So here, I'm gonna line this up as square as possible right here, with that right there, like so. And here I'm just gonna kind of squeeze the rings in with my fingernails. Once the ring drops into that taper, it will just kind of slide in, so you don't have to worry about it. It drops into the taper is good. Again, I already have my my piston pre-oiled, so I should be good there. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it at that for now. So let me put it all the way in so that way it doesn't hit the piston, the bottom doesn't hit the piston. So when I'm ready to put this into the engine, I'm just gonna slide it far enough that my wrist pin is exposed, so that way I can slide the wrist pin in on the side here. Right, have the wrist pin here. Okay, let's see what that looks like. This is all greasy. Everything's all greasy. It's all sticking from the grease. This is still pretty oily, so it should be okay. Let me pull this straight up. Let's actually just push it from the bottom side here. All right. So see this little curve here? That's just where I know how far to bring this thing up. Just about right there. So when I put my piston in, or my sleeve in, it's gonna be like that. Then once the crank slides in right here, I can just slide this in like so. Right. Oops, still not all the way out. But anyways, you guys get the point. I just slide this in once I have my my piston in, right? I can just slide, you know, the crank. I can just slide this in, then I can put the Circlip on, and I'm good. So I don't have to dick around with this, and I don't have to dick around with the rings either. So that's it. So that's how I prep the you know, putting together a you know, when I build up a build up the engine. All right, so I still have the break-in grease or break-in lube here, so it should be good. It should be fine. I don't have to worry about, you know, putting anything in dry, right? So that's it. All right. So in the future, you'll see I'm gonna be, you know, putting this into the engine. Well, actually, I need to take the engine apart first, but anyways, you get the point. So yeah. So there you go. That's what it looks like. So the back facing the back wheel is where the intake is, because that's where the throttle body is on this side, and the front right here is where the header is. So that's the exhaust side. So exhaust side right here, header side right here. Excuse me, the header side right here, intake side right here. So that's why you see the intake bigger and exhaust smaller. It's not perfectly squared up, but that's close enough. As long as those rings, the gaps are 120 apart, and that's all that really matters. You don't. It's not too important where it's like it has to be like exactly here or there or whatever. That's not as important. All right, so thanks for watching.